It's time for Talk Law Radio with Todd Marquardt. Todd Marquardt, attorney at law in Texas. If you're a millionaire or a thousandaire, Talk Law Radio is now on the air. Call in with your business law question, your elder law question, veteran aid, Medicaid, build a business to get paid. 210-308-8867. Or ask a question online at marquardtlawfirm.com. That's MARQUARDT lawfirm.com. And now it's Talk Law Radio with Todd Marquardt.
Welcome to Talk Law Radio. I'm Todd Marquardt, on the radio, on podcasts everywhere, on Facebook Live, on YouTube, and on talklawradio.com. Today we're going to be talking about coffee. But first, let's begin with a prayer. Dear God, thank you for this day. Thank you for all the gifts and blessings that you give to us. Please forgive us for our sins, for our mistakes, for doing the wrong thing or failing to follow your will. Please help us give good information about the coffee industry today. Help us to do everything that we do for the good of your people, for our own good, and for your glory. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Now it's time to discover your legal issue blind spots by listening to me talk about the law on the radio. We're going to be talking about coffee law with attorney Shannon Roberta Salmon-Haas.
I need more names.
Who is on Instagram as
Shannon Roberta San Antonio. Shannon Roberta San Antonio. Thank you.
Yeah, and if you follow her, you'll be watching lots of interesting videos about culture and social in San Antonio. I call her the cultural icon of the show. And also Kathya Reppart from San Antonio, Corpus Christi, El Salvador.
Yeah, a little bit of everything.
All over.
I'm very international.
Great. So we're going to be talking about the law, about the coffee industry, about what your passion is, and bring that all together. We're going to wait till the end of the show to talk about your legacy. I know that that's very important to you, but I want people to listen to the whole show. So we put the best part at the end. But let's start with sort of your background. Where were you born? Where did you grow up? Where did you acquire all of this knowledge?
Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me. I'm from El Salvador in Central America. I was born and raised there. All my knowledge from coffee comes from being a third-generation coffee producer and business owner. My grandma had her farm. I grew up between San Salvador, the capital of El Salvador, and my grandma's farm in Apaneca. That's the name of that coffee region, one of the highest altitudes in El Salvador. And, I have all my knowledge from working at the farm, because part of her legacy was that I was always given a job, I work at the farm. I learned how to drive at the farm. So I'm a pretty good driver after driving those coffee trucks.
Wow, yeah, that's
those
amazing.
Giant trucks. So.
I taught my middle son to drive on the ranch roads as we were hunting wild hogs and white-tailed deer.
Yeah.
He was 10 when he first sat on my lap in the driver's seat. He wasn't tall enough to push the pedals yet.
I was 11 when I started driving from the town to the farm. Mm-hmm. And it was quite the experience because I could barely see. I remember seeing the road through the top side of the windshield.
Oh, wow.
And be like, I can do it.
My daughter used to look at the steering wheel.
Yeah, for sure. It's the top part, that was my whole vision. So
right.
that was pretty funny.
So when did you get to the U.S.?
I moved to the U.S. In 2020, and I came here through my mom, and then I visited San Antonio. I visited Corpus Christi, very frequently. So I'm kind of very familiar and started to love it. I remember coming to San Antonio the first time, and I'm a person of manifestations. So I was like, I'm going to live here when I move to the U.S. And so I did. I ended up moving here. I love the city, 7th largest economy in the world. It's a very lovely place to live.
As a business owner, you were already thinking of economy.
Of course. I always think about the economy, Todd. So, I'm always thinking, I don't know, learning that Texas is one of the biggest economies in the world was pretty shocking. It's the 8th, I think, if I'm not mistaken. So there's a lot of opportunity in the state. And I saw that. Like I was telling Shannon earlier, I moved here, started buying coffee, and I couldn't find something that that I would love back then. And then I listened to podcasts, and this is why it's so important to listen to podcasts like this one, because sometimes God, the universe, whatever you believe in is going to talk to you.
Right.
Right? And so I listened to this podcast that said, I wanted to start something of my own because I grew up in a business. I know what a business is like. I had that advantage, right? So while leading a workshop about creating your 5-year vision, because I work in HR previously, I realized I didn't want it to work for someone else by the time I turned 40, right? And I started my company when I was 35. So I did it 5 years earlier than what I planned. And so kind of going back to the coffee story, I couldn't find something I liked. So I decided that I was going to open a coffee company. And that's how I did it.
And you said, if you want to start a company, solve a problem that you have.
Exactly. In this podcast that I was listening to, it said, if you don't know where to start, think of a problem that you have and solve it. And so my problem at the time was that I couldn't find the type of coffees that I was used to. So I started a company that will sell the coffees that I like.
Let's talk about some of your previous work, because I think that helps you in your role today as a coffee importer. So you said that you were working for a clothing brand and you were in charge of import.
Yeah, I started my career in logistics. Okay. In a big worldwide known carrier, and I always loved it. I used to look at the containers with everything that people were shipping all over the world, and I was just shocked. One of my dreams was I want to help move those big boats that you see. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I want to do this. Like, I love that you can transfer one thing and then it's just going to appear on the other side of the world. And so then I worked for a clothing brand where we did exactly that. I started working with communities, I started seeing how people were creating opportunities for women in developing nations like in El Salvador. And so there was a certain magic about closing that container and just looking at the work that all these women were doing. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of where it starts clicking for me, It started clicking for me, but also it led me a lot of knowledge when it comes to importing and exporting. So when I decided to pick up my family's business, that basically died when my grandma passed.
Oh.
And so that was such a big moment for me, and that's how Kilates was born. Kilates actually means carats, the measurement of precious gold and metals. And it starts with a K because every woman in my family was named with a K.
Oh, I love that.
So it has a beautiful meaning for me.
My mom did that too. She was Karen. My sister was Christina. I married a woman named Chris with a K.
There you go.
And then we named our daughter Caitlin with a K.
Yeah, and so for me, it was very important to keep a connection to my roots. Never forget where I come from, and that's how Kilates was born. Like, I remember dreaming about that name because when you file the trademark, right? they ask you, when was the first time you thought about this word? I thought about it when I was like 12.
Awesome. Well, we got to take a break. When we come back, I want to ask Shannon what was the problem that she was trying to solve when she decided to be a lawyer. So stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Planning for your summer vacation? Don't forget to plan for the things that really matter. None of us are guaranteed tomorrow. Have you planned for your final affairs? Why spend time and money on vacation plans but neglect your legacy? Contact Marquardt Law Firm today. Our attorneys focus on business and estate law, including last wills, living trusts, and tax-protected inheritance plans. Call 210-530-4278. That's 210-530-4278. Or visit marquardtlawfirm.com.
Welcome back to Talk Law Radio. I'm Todd Marquardt, on the radio, on podcasts, on Facebook Live, on YouTube, and on talklawradio.com. Here with attorney Shannon Salmon-Haas and Kathya Reppart, talking about Kilates Coffee, the coffee industry, coffee law, and coffee legacy. Before the break, we were talking about Kathya's background, and she said that if you want to start a company, you solve a problem. And so I wanted to ask you, Shannon, when you decided to go to law school and be a lawyer, is that what you were thinking? Were you thinking, I'm going to solve a problem for myself and I'm going to solve a problem for other people? Or was it something totally different?
I think I have an answer that's on point with your question, because I always wanted to help people, and I thought being a social worker would be a good way to do that. So I was sitting in my little government office handing out Medicaid and food stamps, and people would come in and they would say, well, my husband was providing, but he got deported. You know, the van came by, and now I have all these kids, and I would hand some food stamps. And then someone would come in, well, I had a job at Burger King, but my boyfriend keeps coming by, so the manager says I can't have this drama here. I'm going to have to let you go. Well, I thought, well, she needs a protective order, and the lady with all the kids, her husband needed a green card. So I started thinking, all these little Band-Aids I keep giving out with the welfare and the food stamps, all these little Band-Aids, they're never going to help. What they really need is a legal solution to the problem. So that's when I first started thinking about it. I also had like a really horrible personal experience where I needed a lawyer, and I kept calling around and everyone said $10,000. And this is way back in the day. So,
wow.
And I just, I can't find a lawyer. You know, I think I should become a lawyer.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, God's really good, huh?
Yeah, you were needing a lawyer, so you were like, I'm going to become a lawyer.
Well, there was a point, I hope it's not a flex, but I know I shouldn't use words like that, right? But I know I'm not, I hope I'm not bragging, but there was a point in my life a while back where I thought, you know, everybody I know is either a judge or a lawyer, like my entire circle. And there was a time when I couldn't get a lawyer to call me back in this town unless I had $10,000.
Yeah.
So I give all the glory to God, because God is amazing.
Praise God.
Yes.
Okay, we want to go back, Kathya, to the problem that you were trying to solve. Shannon wanted to know, explain in as much detail as you can, what was it like when you came to the U.S. and you had your first cup of coffee?
You know, it was interesting. I remember that it was...
Did you make a face?
Probably. But, you know, you try to be nice, you know. And usually if you think about it, coffee, it's such a social interaction.
Right.
You know, it's a social tool, let's call it. So in a lot of cultures, when you go visit them, they always welcome you with a coffee.
Let's have a cup of coffee.
Yeah. So I was just, you know, trying to be thankful
Was it in someone's house, like a social situation?
It was more like in an office.
And they were offering you the best that they had.
Exactly.
And you were like, ugh.
And, and at the time, it's been a while back. So at the time, I was used to that in a way, because I will visit a lot of offices and you will just drink what they had, Mm-hmm. Now I travel with my coffee that Shannon thought it was super funny.
Check it out on Instagram.
Cool.
Shannon posted this video that's super awesome.
Yeah, I think that I don't know. One thing I think is age, but also I feel is that if I have a coffee business, why would I drink bad coffee?
Right.
I was telling Shannon, I have a coffee lab. I don't have a coffee setup.
I love it.
I have a lab because when I try the coffees that I'm going to buy for the portfolio, I have to roast them. So you have to have a special roaster for it. This is a small roaster. Then you need to have something to weight the coffee, because it has to be a certain amounts of grams depending on how you're tasting the coffee. Mm-hmm. So that's an accumulation of things.
Oh, I can only imagine.
Tell us what we're about to taste now.
So
you brought
today,
us this.
Yes. Today I brought our pink bourbon, which is our bestseller for the second year in a row. So this is what I like to call the introduction to exotics, because we sell only high specialty. Let me explain you a little bit of specialty. So in coffee has a score. I want to see Todd's face.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's good.
Think? Yeah, it's very different.
Smooth.
Yeah, because coffee is supposed to be smooth.
And I have a question about water.
I will. I'm sure. Yeah, and it's important. It's important water. So coffee goes on scores like wine. So when it's a specialty coffee, it needs to be a certain number when it comes to the score, right? So I only sell what is considered exceptional. I do sell.
Sweet mother of all things holy, that is amazing. I thought I was a coffee snob and that I made really good coffee. That you were right, what you were saying before. It's like next level.
So go to kilatescoffee.com.
Do you dare to tarnish this with cream and sugar?
No. But you know what? I love living by this philosophy. That is the best coffee in the world is the one that you like. Like not putting any judgment, not putting any on it. However you like it, that's the best coffee, the one that you like.
What is that?
Yeah.
Well, tell us what that is.
That's the pink bourbon.
It's not a coffee flavor.
It's
you've redefined the coffee.
Thank you. That's what I think, and I consider that we're doing. This is so different because this is specialty. So not everyone sells specialty. And we're going to go, a little further into that. But specialty, it's a certain number. It's a high. So it's already high specialty. And mine are exceptional. So I specialize in exotics. I bring fruit fermentations. Right now we have this Texas Hill Country inspired of coffee that was infused with peaches. It's not flavored. There's nothing artificial in this coffee. So, and it tastes just like peaches because just like nature, I believe that coffee is like when you go to a Michelin star restaurant, you need to have the best ingredients, right? So this is exceptional coffee. That's why I like to call it, it's a pure gold in every cup.
You're picky with the water too? Is it warm? Is it cold? Does temperature matter?
Distilled or is it filtered?
Okay, so I love this question.
And picky was a wrong word. Particular.
It's
distinguished. Like.
Well, when it comes to water, I always advise, right? If you can do spring water, you're safe. Just spring water because it's something that is pretty normal, And also, depending on the machine, is more friendly with your machine too, especially on how water is so hard in Texas. So what that's going to make is that your machine is going to last longer. Mm-hmm. Now, I get this question all the time, And it's like, what is the best machine to make coffee? And the real answer is all of them. It's the bean that you're buying that makes a good cup of coffee. Like, it depends on your particular taste, because there are a lot of methods on how to prepare your coffee, right? For example, you can do a shot of espresso and then you pour some water, and that's an Americano, right? You can do a pour over a B60. That's another pouring method. And you can do just a regular coffee machine. And, because you never stop learning about coffee, actually the drip method, the regular coffee machine is the one that extracts the highest amount of caffeine in a cup.
Okay.
Wow.
So and so that's why when people tell me, the espresso, I like strong, because of course you want to enjoy the coffee, right? But the majority of us, we also do it for the consequences of drinking coffee,
right,
which is waking up,
right?
You could put this in a mocha pot, or you would recommend drip.
You can do any.
Is this the one we had?
No, the one that we have is a pink bourbon. Actually, is the one I brought for Todd. I don't have it here out.
Because this one says hints of molasses and chocolate.
Yeah, that one is more into the caramel side. And that's part of the classic line that we also offer for restaurants and coffee shops, because we also distribute to coffee shops.
That's the one that I was serving at my office. And one of the attorneys, he said, "This isn't bitter."
Yes.
And that was the first thing that he noticed.
It's not bitter.
No,
right.
And it doesn't upset your stomach either, because some people say that, other coffees, I don't know, because I haven't had, any other coffee. I travel with my coffee, travel with my coffee. And so, but people say that, they get a tummy ache when they drink coffee. Mine doesn't do that. So that Colombian Regional is the one that I recommend to mix with milk.
Okay.
So that's the one that it's delightful by itself. But if you want to add milk, because, again, the best coffee is the one that you like. So who am I to judge and tell you, it's just this or that? No, absolutely not. No judgment on that. But I can always recommend. That's why I call myself a coffee curator.
Yeah.
Because I learn about your taste, and then depending on your taste, I'm going to be like, Todd, I think this coffee is good for you.
Oh, my goodness.
I think you're going to like it, right?
It's a whole experience.
Yeah.
We're going to hear more about this, right?
Yes, of course.
Latinas in coffee.
Yes, Latinas in coffee, absolutely.
Tell us a little bit about the single origin. What does that mean, and why is that a good thing?
Well, single origin, it means that your coffee comes from one source only, one farm only, and one variety only. What that means is coffee is kind of like wine, right? You have the Malbec, you have the Cabernet Sauvignon, right? So in coffee, we have the bourbons, we have the pink bourbons, we have the geishas, we have the Castillos, we have the Caturas, and so on and so forth. So I always like to make the comparison with wine, because wine is such it's a sibling of the coffee, production. And let me tell you why. All these notes that you're tasting is everything that grows around the coffee.
Okay.
Because everyone, when they read, I've had people who ask me, I am allergic to caramel. Is this going to give me allergy? And I'm like, no, that's the note. And it's because of certain altitude, coffee will develop more sweetness than others.
Interesting.
Right? And so it's just a different
so
profile.
many more layers than I ever knew existed.
Yeah.
And so the coffee that you buy at the grocery store in the big tub, is that single source?
I don't know, because I don't know who is sourcing the coffee. Sourcing the coffee is very important, because coffee is one of the most toxic crops in the world, right? Like you need to be, I don't know, just to know where you're sourcing your coffee from. I was in this conference a couple months ago, and they were doing a talk, and there was this coffee producer talking about organic coffee and how it just, there's more layers of work that they need to do on the farm. But they know that they are producing good coffee, organic coffee, that is good for people and that they're not going to get sick and whatnot.
All right. Well, we got to take another break. When we come back, we'll be talking about sinners and saints, and a little bit later after that, the legacy segment. So stay tuned. We got more to say. Welcome back to Talk Law Radio. I'm Todd Marquardt, on the radio, on podcasts everywhere, on YouTube, on Facebook Live. Leave us a comment about what you think about coffee on Facebook, or go to Twitter, X, or Instagram. You might even find Shannon Roberta San Antonio and her video about our coffee adventure this morning. We've been talking about kilatescoffee.com.
Say Roberta one time.
Roberta.
Ay, qué bonito. Oh my gosh, I didn't think he could do it. I was messing with him.
Kilates Coffee, KILATES coffee.com.
I want to say super quick,
sure,
while I get a chance, I feel amazing. You know, like I get jittery when I drink coffee and I get a little too...
Yeah,
but I feel amazing.
Yeah, it's so this is a pink bourbon, is the one that it's floral, but it's also fruity. So it covers all. That's why it's everyone's favorite, because it doesn't go too fruity, but it's not too floral either.
It's interesting.
I'm gonna let you try the florals because I think you're gonna like them. Those are my personal favorites.
The thing you said about the curating, like you said that on air, right?
Yes, I curate people's taste. So then when I have a new coffee, I'm going to, because we also offer monthly subscriptions, so you can subscribe from our webpage. But because we buy from small producers, this actually pink bourbon is from a producer in Huila, Colombia. And I like to support him because he is a farmer that is in a wheelchair. You know, so it's extra work. I like to be just the spotlight of this absolutely amazing people. Mm-hmm. Who are just fulfilling their dreams. It doesn't matter what the obstacles are, but I'm just being the spotlight for it's delicious. His coffee is amazing.
You visit the farms.
Yes, I visit the farm. So I travel frequently to Origin. This year I've been in Guatemala, and I was also in El Salvador visiting, because I'm originally from El Salvador, right? So I want to be the spotlight for Salvadoran coffee more. So that's where I met my fellow Salvadoran, Giselle Barrera, the founder of Latinas in Coffee. And we decided that there's a lot of obstacles still to, bring the coffee to the U.S. And so we wanted to create women-produce only coffees through Latinas in Coffee roasters.
And, right, so you're going to partner up with that group. What are some of the challenges that Latinas face that Latinos are not facing?
In the coffee industry?
Yeah.
I think that the coffee world needs a lot of education. Kind of like what I was telling you guys, for appreciation purposes. I feel that at the beginning, this is real coffee. All these flavors are real coffee. And it's not the regular coffee flavor that you will associate in your mind, which is this French roast flavor. It's bitter. And I love sometimes where men mostly, they're like, I like my coffee strong.
Right.
Do you have French roast? I don't sell French roast. I don't sell dark roast. I think that in order to really appreciate all the flavors in coffee, it needs to be a medium or a light roast.
Okay.
So that's kind of, so the challenge is education, mostly. And then...
what about espresso? You posted on Instagram or Facebook something about orange chocolate espresso. And somebody told me that espresso comes from a different bean.
Well, espresso, let's start unveiling this because it's important. Espresso is any bean that you sell. Any bean that you get at the store from your favorite roaster, every bean is espresso bean.
Okay.
Okay? What it's called, why they call it espresso, it's because it's the extraction method through the machine. That's what the espresso is.
Oh, okay.
So what we wanted to do through this campaign that we did this year, where we showed all the fruits, is the notes that we have in all the coffees. This coffee that you guys are enjoying shows in the picture blueberries, like lemongrass. Some others, we have the peach coffee. That's what we wanted to do. It's not flavor. Like I understand that coffee people divide in two groups. One of them is the actual coffee snob, people who enjoy their coffee black like I did. And that's why I started Kilates, because I couldn't find a coffee that I would like, right? Mm-hmm. But there's also the other group who are the foodies, right? So the foodies is this group of people who enjoy mixing this coffee with all kinds of flavors, and again, no judging, to each their own. We also, when we do our pop-ups, when we're opening a location in Padre Island, in our most, like the best seller in the drinks is the Mexican vanilla, because it's infused with orange zest. So there are flavors that you will not find anywhere, because we prepare our own syrups.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so then you serve that group, the foodies, people who enjoy putting syrups, But here's the thing. You need to have a good base for your drinks. That's why we were kind of chatting briefly about the Colombian regional coffee. Mm-hmm. When you are a foodie and you like to there's one of my friends, she calls it dessert. I like my coffee to taste like dessert in the morning. And I'm like, that's great. But you need to have a good base for that. Right? And that's where the Colombia Regional is. It's a good base for your favorite mixed drink that has milk and it has syrups.
If you want to add the Halloween flavor, what do they call that?
Oh, the pumpkin spice.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. You need to have a good base, like anything. If you think about, and I like to put it here because I went to pastry school, right? So
you have done everything.
Yeah, you're fascinating.
This is how I explain it. I think that God gives you a basket of fruit. That's life. Mm-hmm. And so you need to explore the curiosities and not just eat the banana or the apple that someone told you that it was delicious.
Yeah.
And I'm a foodie at heart, I know what tastes good, and I think that's my main differentiator. I'm a foodie and I love high quality. That's why I only sell high quality, because this is a transfer of emotion, So I believe in my product. I believe so much in my product because it's what I consume in my house. Mm-hmm. Imagine what kind of ethic I will have if I know I'm buying, only God knows where source coffee, and I'm drinking that in my house, giving that to my family. It's like, no, I drink all of my coffees at my house every morning, and I source for me, and which is kind of scandalous, coming from a business owning family, because my mom used to tell me, you need to cater for all the palates. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, but I think everyone likes good, right? I think everyone likes high quality, good flavors. And we have a little bit for everyone. We have the geishas, which are the champagne of coffee, kind of like doing the comparison with the wine world, right? Mm-hmm. The geishas are the champagne of coffee.
Wow.
So they are very floral. They're my personal favorite. This pink bourbon is like one level down from the geishas. It's half floral, half fruity. Then we have Colombian regional, with the caramels, with the chocolate, and there's a little bit of everything for everyone.
I love the stuff you say. I want to just have a notepad.
Oh, you're so
You
kind.
said coffee is a transfer of emotion, and you said everybody likes good, right?
Yeah, everyone likes good,
Right.
and that's my niche, and that's, my client is people who like good.
Well, let's talk about something funny. Well, it was funny to me. To a lot of people, it's probably not funny, but interesting. Somebody who really loved coffee. It's one of our sinners and saints.
Everybody always likes your music, Todd.
Yeah. So the sinner this week is Eileen Wuornos, who was a serial killer. She claimed all 7 of her victims were of self-defense, but she was convicted and executed of by lethal injection in Florida. But she declined her last meal. All she wanted was a cup of coffee. So I thought that was interesting for our show today.
Very.
And we were talking about drinking coffee together at the very beginning of the show. You said it's sort of a social thing. Well, did you know that a very popular movie called Shades of Grey was developed by these women that they called their partnership Coffee Shop?
Oh, it's interesting.
And there was a very big lawsuit because they didn't have a formal partnership agreement, and one of the partners didn't get like $10 million in royalties from the movie in the book. And so it just got me thinking, like, how many $1 million conversations are being had over this cup of coffee?
Right.
Yes, absolutely.
We got to take one more break, and when we come back, we'll be talking more about Kathya's legacy. She's a 3rd generation in the coffee business, so stay tuned.
Planning for your summer vacation? Don't forget to plan for the things that really matter. None of us are guaranteed tomorrow. Have you planned for your final affairs? Why spend time and money on vacation plans but neglect your legacy? Contact Marquardt Law Firm today. Our attorneys focus on business and estate law, including last wills, living trusts, and tax-protected inheritance plans. Call 210-530-4278. That's 210-530-4278. Or visit marquardtlawfirm.com.
Welcome back to Talk Law Radio. I'm Todd Marquardt. We're here with Shannon Roberta Salmon-Haas, who's got 4 names. She's an attorney. We went to law school together. She's a cultural icon here in San Antonio with a tremendous following on Instagram.
Está loco.
And Kathya Reppart, who's been telling us about her coffee business called Kilates Coffee. Go to kilatescoffee.com. That's KILATES coffee.com. And it's going to be more expensive than the stuff you buy at the grocery store in the big tub. But believe me and all of my staff, we've been trying it. And it's just so different from what you buy in the big box. It's just awesome. It's phenomenal.
Buy cheap paper towels, but do not buy cheap.
Even in my college years, I would save on everything but coffee. I always bought the good stuff. Again, it's like, I think we all like good.
Well, I thought I was buying the good stuff. I had you try that coffee that is delivered to my office every month, and I have
so funny.
the great machine, and so I was bragging to Kathya that I have this premium coffee.
Right.
And so she tried it, and she didn't flex. She didn't brag.
Oh,
She
I
was
wish I
just
could have
like,
seen that.
Well, this isn't really premium coffee. I'd like for you to try it.
But gut reaction, what were you thinking? This poor man. I have to help him.
Todd is just the sweetest, right? So he was, let me give you some coffee. You want to try my premium coffee? And I was like, of course. Like sometimes I get surprised. It's very little times, but I do get surprised with good coffee. And so when he brought it, I just tasted it, and I do this everywhere. I just tasted it, and then I just started pulling like this. And I continue my conversation like...
Even Mark is laughing. That was a good one.
She's like, I'm not going to drink any more of this.
But, I never like to offend people. And then you have to have some ethic, right? Instead of saying, your coffee is not great, I rather say, do you want to try my coffee? Mm-hmm. Just to kind of like open your world with it. Because I assure you, if you guys try like the fruit fermentations, it creates a lot of reactions, because it's real coffee. That's the main issue. It's been responsibly, fair trade.
Please
organic.
talk about that, because Al, one of the other radio producers, was asking me about that, and I was looking up coffee law online, and I found this lawsuit of a consumer protection company or organization against Starbucks for wrongfully claiming that they practice ethically when buying coffee and sourcing coffee. So tell us exactly, what does that mean, and how can you really be sure?
Well, so in origin countries, right, which is in the American continent at least I can only talk about the American continent because I still haven't tried or haven't sell any African coffee, right? But they have very strict law, and the reason why they have it is because they export all of their coffee. Guatemala, 83% of the coffee that is produced in Guatemala is exported all over the world. El Salvador, same. Colombia, same. And so now they're adding Peru, Ecuador, that they also produce some coffee. We have coffee from Honduras. I had this absolutely mind-blowing coffee from Honduras when we went to the World Coffee Conference back in May, I think it was. Oh my God. Imagine this. They poured me the cup and I could smell it and I thought it was my perfume.
Oh, wow.
It was just so the fragrant. It was just so strong and flowerish, and I love florals. So I even smell myself, to be sure, right? I was like, is it me?
Right.
It was the coffee. It sold for $140 a pound.
Wow.
$140 a pound. So all of the coffee, since, it's going to go in, somewhere in the world, right? So they have very strict laws. You have to work really hard to get all your little certifications. They have different certifications. Organic, for example, is that I never went through the deep end of what it's like to create, to produce organic coffee. And in this conference that I attended, one coffee producer was explaining it. And I was mind blown because it has almost no pesticide. They have to work the soil, add minerals, add all these layers of different things to make it 100% organic. And so they have to be FDA compliant, USDA compliant, so for all that you need to prepare, because they go and you get inspections.
Okay.
And so it is highly regulated when it's in origin, and everyone works really hard to get, and it's really expensive too. So that's why I feel that it's very important. And I see this happening a lot, that you buy coffee from, whatever appears on your phone, right? You don't even know where they come from. And they're selling, I don't like to say, I'm going to say economical coffee, and then selling you the same price as my coffee.
Oh, wow.
And that happens very frequently. Just imagine this. So I specialize in fermentations, What that is that all the coffee has extra processes. The extra processes, they are an investment for the producer, right? For what? So they can sell it for a better price. So when you're buying a wash coffee, which is the basic coffee that you see almost everywhere, it costs half the price of that, but you're still buying it for the same price of mine coffee.
Oh.
You know? And so that's why you need to get a really good coffee company that you know, and that you know they're doing the things that, you know, right.
Yeah. Well, this is our last segment, the fourth segment, and we like to talk about legacy because Marquardt Law Firm focuses on last wills, living trusts, tax-protected inheritance plans. So we want to learn more about your legacy.
And now, it's time for the Talk Law Radio Legacy Spotlight. What's your legacy? Sponsored by Marquardt Law Firm.
Tell us about your grandmother.
So my grandmother was my role model. And so I thought a lot about the legacy, especially because in my women's group, my women's business group, we've been talking about legacy this week. So more than things, I think your legacy is what you leave behind you when you're no longer here, right? So what that is about is like, yes, of course, I have things that my grandma left, like her farm, which was lovely. But I think the most important legacy that she left was the hard work. You know, she taught me to work hard for what I wanted.
Mine too.
Yeah, exactly. So at the end, it's not about the material things that you leave behind you. And that's why I support one of my, part of my vision as a person on this earth. God put me in the world with a purpose, is to help others. I come from a developing nation. I was lucky enough to get an education that coffee paid for. So this is ingrained in me. Coffee is not just my passion. It's been such an important part of my life. I saw how, you know, there's no access to education. There's no access to people like me who are going to bring this beautifully, you know, produced coffees. I met with women in origin. And mostly I remember my grandma telling me there's no money in coffee because, you know, if you don't specialize your coffee, you can't sell it at a good price. So it doesn't really pay to even maintain your farm. You know, so what that does is that it forces women to sell their land because, you know, it's not part, you can't monetize on it, right? And so you need this education. And that's why I know there are companies out there and they're like, oh, we're going to donate $1 per bag to women in origin. And it's like, I want to give them their dignity back, that they feel appreciated and that they know that what they're doing counts. Yeah. You know, how do I do that? Paying fair prices for their coffee.
You just blew my mind. You're next level. Like,
thank you.
So what you said about your grandmother and about the way the coffee paid for your education reminded me of something my dad told me about his dad. My grandfather sat down the kids one time and said, y'all are privileged. You know, you've been given opportunities that people in other parts of this town don't have. So act like it.
Yeah, I feel like
so go out there and help people, like you were saying.
There's a commitment, okay? There is a commitment to help others all the time. You can get anything you want in life if you will help others to achieve what they want. My commitment is not just me coming to tell you these things. My photographer, those beautiful pictures, she's a Salvadoran photographer that I hired. The bags are printed in Colombia. You know, we're doing this there's a lot of innovation on the things that we're doing. For coffee shops, we roast in origin so we can leave more money in origin. So my commitment is, because you also have to make coffee a business in origin. It can only be a business here, right? So I have a big commitment to that. I have a big commitment into champion women-produced coffees. Right now we have a geisha wash. It's a Carolina Reyes, a producer from Colombia, you know? So I love this comparison about commitment. I'm here like the pig, not like the chicken. Like the hen is going to commit with an egg, right? The pig is giving the bacon, right? So my commitment is big. It's going to hit my bag because I want to hit their bag too, you know? Because it's easier to buy your bags from China, for example, you know?
Right.
I buy them from origin. I do my photography in origin. I try to work as much as I can in origin so that I can be helpful in the economy. I can create jobs in origin too. So I have my warehouse. It creates jobs for women. And that is so important because if there's no education, at least they need to learn, you know, that they can do something to bring food. Like there's people who literally, they don't have anything to eat.
That's when you blew my mind. You're not doing things the same old way and let's give 10%. You're doing things radically differently.
Exactly. It's dignifying, being like, okay, I have a purpose. I have the power to bring money into my house.
You also have ideas that others haven't thought of before.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Todd.
Well, that's all the time we have. Is there anything else you want to say?
No, go to kilatescoffee.com and always think about coffee needs to be brown.
And we also want to share it with our friends. See you later.